Hello, everyone. My name is Cheryl Wetmore Simpson, and I'm happy to welcome you tonight to our School Name Review Committee meeting, community meeting. It's our first meeting, and we're just delighted to have you here with us this evening. We especially want to thank the people who are on the live stream and watching right now and participating that way, and also those who have asked to be able to speak and share their opinions this evening, and also any information they have for the committee. The committee members are as follows: Jessica Allen, Caroline Ayers, Lorenzo Dickerson, Tamika Elliott, Brandon Lindsay, Seth Lovell, Robert Steuben, Charles Timko, and Janet Webster. We also have 3 staff members on the committee: Laura Morris, Jennifer Underwood, our principal. Laura Morris is our assistant principal, Jennifer Underwood, our principal, and myself. I'm a teacher here at Meriwether, and I've been here for 21 years. Our committee meetings have been going on. We had one on October 18th. We'll have 3 meetings in all. Our next one is tomorrow evening, and then our final meeting will be on December 1st. I'd like to go ahead and turn over the meeting to discuss some background and purpose to Dr. Haas, who is our Superintendent of Schools.
Thank you very much, Cheryl. I really appreciate it. And before I do that, I really want to thank everyone here who is serving on this committee. It's a really important process, and I know that you're going to put a lot of time and effort and energy and a lot of heart into it. And I want to thank you in advance for that. I'm going to give a little bit of background of why we're here. So on October 25th, 2018, the school board voted unanimously to direct the superintendent, which was me at that time and currently me, to do a few things. One is to add school division values, which are equity, excellence, family and community, and wellness, to the criteria for naming school buildings and facilities. The second thing they charged me with doing is to review the names of all of our schools in the division named after individuals, named after people, taking into account how faithful those designations are to the values of our school division. And then the third thing is to report recommendations to the board for changing the names of schools that are inconsistent with our values. So in this process, first and foremost, the name of any school must be consistent with the board's current adopted mission, vision, values, and goals. Our vision is that our learners are engaged in authentic, challenging, and relevant learning experiences, becoming lifelong contributors and leaders in our dynamic and diverse society. Our mission is working together as a team. We will end the predictive value of race, class, gender, and special capacities for our children's success through high quality teaching and learning for all. We seek to build relationships with families and communities to ensure that every student succeeds, and we will know every student. I already mentioned what our values are, and our goals in short order are 3 overarching goals: that we will have thriving students, affirming and empowering communities, and equitable, transformative resources. So as a part of this process, as you can imagine, there have been several schools that have already been reviewed. There were 14 schools in our school system named after, actually there were 15 schools named after 14 people. Virginia Murray had her name with 2 different schools when we started. Broadus Wood has been reviewed and it retained the current name. Mary Carr Greer has been completed and retained the name. Paul H. Kale was renamed Mountain View as of July 2020. Virginia L. Murray, down the road from Meriwether, is complete and retained the current name. Jack Jewett was completed and it was renamed Journey Middle School as of July 2022. Mortimer Y. Sutherland That one was completed and renamed Lakeside Middle School as of July 2021. And Murray High School, which is our charter school, was completed and it was renamed the Community Lab School as of July 1st, 2021. And so in closing, the charge that I have for the committee, this is the same charge that I've given to every committee as it's begun its work, is to not necessarily tie your thought process and decision-making process to the past of the history of the school, but instead imagine that this school were not built yet, that the parcel of land there on Owensville Road is vacant of a building. You are in the process of being part of the name decision-making team for that building. And I want you to think about today's students. Think about Albemarle County and the diverse community that it is, all the backgrounds that people bring, and what we aspire to for our current students, not what we would prefer necessarily from our past or what we're concerned with, but think about it as if it does not have a name right now. Clear the name and think about what would be the best name for the school moving forward into the future. That's the same charge I give every group. And so at this point, I'm going to turn things back over to Cheryl. Thank you.
Thank you. Can everyone see my screen okay now?
Yes.
Thank you. Okay. So the next thing we're going to hear is from Jennifer Underwood, our principal, all about the current status of our committee. Thank you, Jennifer. Thank you, Dr. Haas.
Awesome. Yes, thank you so much. So our committee had opportunity to get together, and it was really an awesome opportunity because one of the things I think I shared this with Laura after the meeting was sometimes when you're in a meeting, not everybody feels comfortable talking or sharing. And I really felt like after our meeting, everyone was able to share. And we really had a very good, diverse group of folks represented. So I felt really good about our first meeting. So we sent out our survey, and our online survey, the first one, we received 421 responses. And those included community members, our staff members, students. 94.1% of those indicated that they did have knowledge of the life and career of Meriwether Lewis. One of the questions asked about naming categories, and what we found interesting was 83% indicated that places are most important over themes and values. We were very excited that the majority of our staff participated in this first survey, in addition to all of our fifth grade students. And the other thing that's important that we want to just add is that we have received several emails from the community for additional input, and we will also continue to record those in our school naming review inbox. Next, you'll see when asked for name suggestions, the most frequently suggested names are listed here on the screen in alphabetical order. So you'll see Bluebird Elementary, Blue Ridge Springs Elementary, Discovery Expedition Explorer Elementary, Ivy Elementary, Locust Hill, Meacham River, Meriwether Lewis, Owensville, and Whippoorwill. I'm going to turn it over at this point to our assistant principal, Ms. Morris, and she's going to talk about the ways that we engaged our fifth graders and really involved them in the beginning of this process.
Oh, thanks, Jen. So Ms. Underwood and I went to our fifth grade classes and led an activity surrounding voting and what it means to vote. And it was great because we just had election day. So we went and talked about the categories of what does it mean to be eligible to vote. And a lot of the fifth graders didn't know that. So you have to be an American citizen, 18 years or older. You have to be registered to vote and resident of that state to vote on laws and bills and candidates. One quote that we really stuck with our fifth graders was, "The best way to affect any policy in your local community is for citizens in that community to vote. A vote for a local official can decide how many public buses are available, A vote can determine which programs exist in local public schools. So that's one that we really talked about. And then we went into, actually we issued them a voter card, a voter registration card. So every student got one with their name on it and had to put their name and their address, their school. So here's a picture of that. We found out yesterday, we had a couple of parents share that when they went to their polling place, that several students went with them and brought their voter registration card with them, with their parents to vote yesterday. So then we talked about the name review process and what that would look like, and talked about this process with all of the fifth graders. And then we had them complete the survey, the online survey in class. So as a group, everyone got out their laptops and we went through the survey. If they had questions, we talked about that and led them through that process. We, in the future, after our next survey goes out, we are going to have a voting process in school with all of our students, K through 5, and lead them through that depending on what we come up with when we narrow our field of choices for our name review. I'm going to turn that over back to Ms. Waters.
Cheryl, thank you. Thank you so much for the update. At this point, we are going to have the public comment, and I am going to let our folks in from the waiting room who have registered to speak tonight. So if you'll close out the slide presentation. Cheryl, there we go. Great. I want to welcome Julie Govan, Eduardo Montes Bradley, and Philip Andrew Hamilton to the room. And we will begin with our public comment. Each individual will be given 3 minutes to speak, and I will be timing you. As we get to the end of your time, I'll hold this up to indicate you have 1 minute left. And as soon as we can get Philip connected and on, we'll go ahead and get started. Mr. Montes Bradley, why don't you go ahead and begin?
Okay, thank you very much. I just was listening in, and I have the impression that the decision has been already taken to go ahead and change the name. Is that correct?
No, sir. This is a name review process. We're
Okay.
using the name, and then we're also looking at other names that are suggested by the committee.
Okay, then I would like to, this is not going to take longer than a minute. I wrote it down just to make sure. To me, changing the name of institutions is a drastic solution, often brought after a traumatic episode such as revolutions or colonial wars of liberation. To change the name of Meriwether Lewis Elementary School today will particularly be damaging to the collective memory of the community that grew up around it. My family moved to Ivy not for any other reason 15 years ago. That was the sole purpose of our relocation from 1,000 miles away. And our 3 children would have graduated by the end of this year from Meriwether Lewis Elementary, a place dear to our hearts. A place we just call Meriwether in first name basis, as if we would have roomed with the explorer in college. As a survivor myself of a devastating civil war, I can personally attest for the loss that comes with the destruction of geographical references. Let's not inflict upon ourselves and the collective memory of our community the pain of not being able to revisit the places and names we grew up with. I am very far, trust me, from a conservative-minded individual. I was a founding member of the President's Commission for Slavery at the University of Virginia. And as such, I have actively worked to recognize the names of the enslaved men and women and children who built that university. Let's tell the story of enslavement. Let's tell the story of the people Meriwether, Lewis, and other prominent families of Ivy purchased and sold. But in the process, let's not erase history. Let Meriwether Lewis Elementary School be what it has always been, an extraordinary institution for the education of our children. And let us tell a more complete and inclusive history of the community and its peoples. Changing names is not a solution. It just hides the problem. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Bradley. Philip, are you connected yet? Oh, he's re-entering. Mr. Hamilton? Mr. Hamilton, are you with us? Mr. Hamilton being the next person who requested to speak. You're on.
Yes, I'm here. I was muted, so that's the reason why I couldn't hear me before.
That's fine. If you'll go ahead with your remarks, please, sir. You have 3 minutes.
Great. Well, good evening, everyone. You know, the reason why I come out to speak today is so that's the reason why I couldn't hear me before. And the reason why I come out to speak today is because I think, you know, we shouldn't be changing the name of the school. I believe that, you know, it is good to have a discussion as a community. And I'm the owner of HamiltonHistoricalRecords.com. You know, I've visited various sites associated with Lewis and Clark across the country, not just in Charlottesville, but in, you know, in Oregon and other states. And, you know, this is something that people who are traveling, not just locally, but from around the country should be reminiscent of. You know, we had the Lewis and Clark statue and Sacagawea statue that was taken down, unfortunately, last year. And this is a follow-up to the removal of the significance of Charlottesville. I mean, Lewis and Clark, they were friends of Thomas Jefferson. They were part of this grand expedition, which was finding out the western boundaries of the United States. I think future generations of our children who live in this community should be aware of that. I think, you know, this whole discussion is unfortunate. Let's focus on the education of children. And as the last speaker said, you know, it's a cultural revolution when you're going and renaming buildings and other institutions. Let's focus back on, you know, getting the children educated, and instead of wasting money on changing signs and various other things associated with the renaming. So I just want to let everyone in the community know that there are members who live locally in Charlottesville, such as myself, who are opposed to this, and keep that in mind as this meeting goes on. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Hamilton. Mrs. Dovin, you'd like to offer your remarks, please?
Hey there, can you all hear me? Hi, so like the two folks who spoke before me, I too, one of the reasons I came to the house that I live in now was because I was attracted by Meriwether Lewis Elementary School as the place where my oldest child would go to kindergarten. I've now got 3 children who have gone all the way through Meriwether Lewis and 1 child who is about to finish at Meriwether Lewis this year. And I think I can honestly say that the school is very near and dear to our hearts. We have fought hard to be here on many levels. And so we have very passionate feelings about that community and about everything that it has offered us, including, I have to say, like a deep affection for the name over the years. Like Eduardo mentioned, like we call it Meriwether short, like it's a nickname almost, right? That said, I want to acknowledge that I have some grave concerns about I don't know what I want to say about whether or not we should rename the school. I guess about, I want to understand the process better. I want to understand what history we're going by and the acknowledgement that Meriwether Lewis was born into a slave owning family, and that even though he left to be in the army and to go on this mission, he still benefited from the slavery that was going on the plantation that earned it money. I want to hear from the descendants of the slaves who lived on his plantation and on the Marks plantations. And I want to hear what they think and whether they would be happy to have their children attending a school named for that family. I want to understand too what the position of Native Americans is on Meriwether Lewis, because I don't know that much about that. I got to tell you, I don't know about it. I come at it from the same history that my kids are being taught, which is look at this great guy. He did this exploring. It was really cool. Here are some of the places he went. Here's why that was important. I don't know what it's like to be a Native American and hear about somebody who kind of paved the way for the westward expansion and some of what that involved. So my request is the following. I would love it if this group, which has so much ability to influence things, could offer some transparency on the things that have been considered and publish that, because right now I think that's been kind of a black box and I don't understand what's going on in terms of discussions. I would agree with Eduardo Montezemli that we should commit, no matter what we do, to teaching the history of Meriwether Lewis beyond the exploration, and making it abundantly clear to every student who studies Virginia studies at Meriwether what his full story is, and the pluses and the minuses. And I feel that should be required. And last of all, I would really love, if this hasn't already happened, for some of the folks who have gone to school, who are people of color, to have their voices explicitly brought into the conversation, like explicitly invited into the conversation and heard. And if that's already happened, then to publish some of the results of those conversations. And that's my request. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mrs. Sullivan. There are currently no other members of the public who are interested in speaking. So at this time, we'll conclude our meeting. I'll turn it back over to Cheryl.
Thank you. Thank you, Karen. I'd like to thank all of you who came tonight to express your opinions. It's important to us as a committee that we hear from everybody in the community, anybody that has an opinion. We need that. We'll go next into the research phase. And of course, then the next community meeting is going to be on November 29th. But before that will be another survey. And so we'll look forward to hearing more from you. And we hope to have information. I appreciate very much the questions that came up, and I thank you for that. And I'm looking forward to the process continuing. Thank you so much for coming this evening, and we will hope to see you at the next community meeting.